Hey everybody, Adele here. I just want to jump on real quick. I know this is a really challenging time for most of us, me included, and all I wanted to say was hang in there. This is turning out to be more of a marathon than a sprint. Wouldn't it have been wonderful if we said, oh, this sprint of weird shutdown, shelter in place, social isolation is going to take exactly 16 days and 4 hours? Wouldn't that have been wonderful? But I think everyone is now past the newness of it all, past the shock of it all. You might have settled into a new new normal way of going about your day. For me, I lose track of what day it is. Spending a lot of time on Zoom, and maybe you're experiencing the same thing. It was kind of novel at first, and now it's like, okay, like what's going on, And now people are starting to talk about the future and what that looks like, and there's quite a bit of debate now on the best way to go about it. It's becoming very polarized, and it's nothing we haven't seen before, right? I mean, it's not like this virus suddenly made people more polarized than before. These divisions were always there. So now we can't even agree on the definition of the problem, the potential mile markers for the solution. Hang in there. Hang in there, because everyone that is on a different point of the continuum, right? There's some people saying, well, gosh, this hasn't changed my life that much. It's actually kind of nice. I'm at home and I'm enjoying spending time with my family. This is an amazing opportunity to get still, to do some creative things that I've always wanted to do, and I'm enjoying this time with my family. Great! Take advantage of this time. There are other people saying, look, this time is very hard. I'm cooped up in the house with my kids. I'm not used to everybody being in the house, and they're not used to homeschooling, and I'm just going nuts, and I'm not even sure I'm going to have a job next month. They're already talking about layoffs. Every day I wonder if I still have a job. There's that group. There's the group that can't afford to stop working, and funny how no one ever looked at them so essential as before. But some of the lowest paid people now, so-called, in my mind, invisible. No one ever noticed them before until now we really, really need them, and now they're considered essential, and we're asking them to keep working, right? Then there are people that are so wealthy, they're, building bunkers or somewhere. There are people who are worried about keeping their businesses. They've worked their whole lives to start a business, and they're watching it disintegrate in front of them. Very painful. There are people who are still trying to carry on some semblance of normalcy. So wherever you are, we are not all even having the same experience. We just know it's different, okay? So as you engage with other people, do your best to just be curious about people's different experiences. Be curious about yours. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I know everybody wants that vaccine to come out sooner than later, or whatever, the government decrees, or the government should be out of it. Like I said, there's not even a common understanding of how to solve this problem, and then makes everybody even more frazzled than before. I get it. I'm experiencing the same thing. And the only thing I can say is this is a time for hanging in there, dig deep, watch your exposure to news. Most of the news is something you've already heard. For me, just to be a little transparent, I noticed that I'm rereading news I've read before. And it wasn't fun the first time. Why am I rereading that, right? So notice how you consume information. Yes, be informed. Be informed. But if it's wrecking your joy factor, have a think whether you really need to be tuning in to CNN every 20 seconds, right? And getting another blast of news. Just notice. In a previous broadcast, I mentioned that this time has opened up a lot of space for people. Oh, I used to spend an hour in the car, 2 hours in the car if you live in Atlanta, coming and going. I don't have to do that anymore. Or the time I used to have to spend in these useless meetings at work. Or, my schedule's different. I have extra time. Great! What are you filling your time doing? Are you filling it with more, something that takes you into scroll here, scroll there, and before you know it, half the day's gone and your nerves are shot? Or could you make a conscious decision towards creativity? Some people don't have a choice. They have to go into work. So there are many lenses of the problem. There are many lenses of the solution. My question to you is, do you have the stamina to be with all of these points of view? Or does it send you into a fight-flight? We need people who can be with differences without going into fight-flight, without that need to lash back or argue. You guys can do that. You just need presence and being curious about this opportunity. We've never been in this situation before, y'all. So how can you use this time to the best that you can? Hey, Bill. My husband just came up from watching TV. And hang in there. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So having that perspective that the answer is not always going to come tomorrow, and it may not be one answer for everyone, and there might be different answers for different parts of the country and different people. And, how much of this can we really control? Not a whole lot. But that doesn't mean you can't control anything, right? You can't control everything. You can't control, to a limited degree, Congress. You can't control some of these things. But that doesn't mean you have no control at all. So what can you control? Well, hand washing, taking care of yourself. At least do those things. Because if we're not even doing those things, gosh, we can't control everything, but there are some things we can control. Your peace, exercise, eating right. If you're not even doing those things, just have a think. Well, at least if you do those things, and let's say you do get sick, you're probably better off already, So we're not victims of circumstance, although it can feel like it. The world is in a huge seismic shift. It's no longer the kind of problem that can be solved one way here and one way there, because people move. People fly around the planet. People fly from city to city. So what works in New York is not going to work in Montana as long as people are still moving. And that's a tricky problem to solve. These viruses float around. And if there is any sort of opportunity now, which isn't fun, but how can the world start to work together for a change, right? These disparities in income and opportunity, what's happening with the climate, nation states blocking off from one another, all of these are sort of feeding into the problem. I'm not saying I have the solution, but I'm appealing to your ability to sit with the complexity instead of jumping into, I want an answer now. Everybody wants someone to take care of them, and wouldn't that be great? But that doesn't mean you can't do anything. Take care of what you can do, common sense. If the virus is not immediately destroying your household, maybe there's an opportunity to still have some joy. I was talking to a client this morning who said she felt terrible that she's actually okay. And people in New York are dying by the thousands. So her joy factor started to drop. And I said, I totally get it. My tribe typically cares deeply about people. If they didn't, they wouldn't be working with me. So how can we utilize your spiritual calling and this amazing heart so that you don't disappear into the abyss either? Is there another way to be with all this besides feeling crappy, right? Because it is tragic. I said, think of it kind of like, you all know I'm a violinist, right? I was a concert violinist for many years. And the orchestra plays a song, a tune, and everyone's doing their part. They're different parts. And sometimes when you're in the violin section, and let's say the French horn, plays a wrong note or isn't having a good day, I'm going to keep playing my notes. That if someone else makes a mistake or is having a rough time, I'm still playing my song. That's what I want you to do. It doesn't mean you don't care about what happened to the horn player. But your job is to maximize what you can do right now. The more people we have that can stay present without going, la, 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 or I need someone else to rescue me, or, some of this panic that's going on. The more people, it's not that you don't care. It's not that you don't go into panic. Common sense. You can't control everything, but there are some things you can control. Yes, for some people, this is an opportunity. For other people, they don't have that luxury. If you're an hourly worker, single parent with no health insurance, all of a sudden you're considered an essential worker. Why? Because someone has to man the grocery store checkout line, right? People that, are often the lowest paid are the most important right now. Isn't that interesting? Meanwhile, my dentist, my dermatologist, my mom's oral surgeon, their practices are closed. Isn't that interesting? How what we evaluate as so essential changes. Is it possible that everyone has a role? Everyone is of value. And maybe we're taking into account that we don't have this weird hierarchy of the richer people hoarding everything and people at the bottom getting poorer and poorer. But I won't get into that right now. I'm just saying the solution requires everyone to work together. Nation states need to work together. Governors need to work together. Because if we don't have a common game plan, people drive from New York to Miami and Miami to Atlanta and San Fran. Unless you're going to tell people nobody can ever travel, this virus is going to keep moving. Into Dubuque, Iowa, where they think, no, I'm good. Into Montana, where right now there's not as much yet. This is a virus that has never been seen on the planet, right? It means no one on planet Earth has any immunity. Unless you got it and you get over it and then you're good. So there are 4 groups of people. You might be one of the 4. There's the group that is healthy and has never been infected. There's the group that feels good but's been infected, and you're walking around asymptomatic, spreading the disease, and you don't know it. That's the group that everyone's worried about the most. The third group, these are people that had it, got better, and are walking around feeling better. They have some immunity, right? And then the fourth group, these are people who are sick and need to be hospitalized. The problem is the first 3 groups, very hard to distinguish who's who, right? So it's not that you just need a vaccine. You don't know if you had it once upon a time and are better, unless there's another test for that. Otherwise, you've got people social distancing and social distancing unnecessarily. And right now we need people to go back to work, right? The economy is really struggling. There's no way to tell who has never been infected, who feels good and is infected. Maybe we can get a test out. And who was infected and feels better now. The third group, y'all are the heroes, right? You're the ones that we want out and about because you can go where no man can go right now and do a lot of helpful things. And the fourth group, they're the ones we're all praying for. They're sick. So, this is the problem with new viruses. Nobody walking around has any immunity until we get it. We either die or we survive it and it's built in the body. But the problem is you never know who's who. And people who say, well, just let this thing run. Yeah, you're going to have millions of people dying. And if that's the answer, oh, now we're going to shut down this town and not shut down that town. But people move and viruses. So this is a very complex problem. So I'm appealing to you guys. Have the stamina. Don't jump at a politician's soundbite. There's always the other side. The economy is very important. If people can't work, they can't feed themselves, they can't pay their rent, they can't buy their health insurance. It's a problem, right? Well, if you put everyone back to work, then you've got mass infection. So I don't have the answer, but my message in this clip is stamina. This is a marathon, not a sprint. If you just adjust your expectations for the future, you might notice a little bit more resiliency. Let the politicians duke it out. You do what you can do. That's all you can do anyway. So my love to you. I hope this clip is useful. Share this if you find this helpful or useful with people. Because right now it's about everyone coming together. to build more stamina. Stamina is much easier in a group. You know, don't be out there trying to be a hero all by yourself. Okay, till next time, hope this is helpful. Thanks, bye.